Hi, I'm Kelly. I'm one of the caretakers here with foster parrots. I'm here to introduce today our yard birds, including this incredibly handsome bird, Toby, our rooster. These birds get really specialized care outside, things like predator-proof housing, species-appropriate diets, and preventative care like body checks. So let's go check them out. Here we have Angel. This is our goose resident we have here. She's incredibly sweet, keeps to herself for the most part. And actually, geese have incredible memories. They're able to remember faces and voices and really remember how these people impacted them in the future and reflect back on these memories when they interact with you again.
Normally, Canadian geese are wild animals. However, Angel has developed angel wing disease, which makes her dependent on humans for the rest of her natural life. Angel wing disease is when birds are fed a high-calorie but low-nutrient diet, and being fed bread is thought to be a contributor to this. The best thing you can do for these birds is to let them live independently, finding their own food and balancing their own diets. You may notice that our pond is very green. It's actually duckweed, which is a highly nutritious, naturally growing plant that the geese and ducks love to graze on. We have two roosters here called Red and Toby who have very distinct personalities. Roosters are often unwanted because they don't lay eggs and are louder when they express themselves. This lack of private homes causes a constant saturation of roosters in the rescue community. Very often this results in the boys being abandoned, which is a death sentence for any domesticated species in the wild. They are incredibly deserving, loving birds that can make great companions. Foster parrots also has some small mammals. Over here we have the Patagonian Mara, which originate from Argentina, where they naturally would have over 200 acres to their wild territories. Unfortunately, this species is commonly used in roadside zoos, which is actually where ours were rescued from. Captivity can often lead to very frustrated lives due to the inability to replicate this large territory and subsequent lifestyle they've evolved to need. All of these animals showed are inherently valuable and deserve to be respected and live lives free from exploitation.
Hi, I'm Danielle, and this is Harold. He's one of our sulcata tortoises here at Foster Parrots. We have a few different species of reptiles. We have a green iguana, a couple leopard geckos, and a few different species of turtles. Harold here is about 30 years old, and we know this because of the rings on the scutes of the shell. So each little spot right here is called a scute, and they grow the same way the rings of a tree grow. There's a couple different factors that create variations, but it's a good approximation of age.
A proper diet is vital to their health. They need tons of grass to graze on, and supplemental hay and fresh greens. Improper diet can lead to spikes, bumps, and dips in their shell, as well as liver failure. Sulcata tortoises spend much of their time digging holes. They're even capable of breaking fences, walls, and even moving cinder blocks. With a lifespan of over 100 years, planning for their care throughout that time can be a very difficult task. For these reasons, and many others, sulcata tortoises are inappropriate pets to keep. They are currently listed as a vulnerable species, and to ensure that they don't reach the point of endangerment, we need to keep them in the wild and out of captivity.
Hi, my name is Brianna. I work as an animal caretaker here at Foster Parrots in Hope Valley, Rhode Island. One of my favorite animals to take care of here are the Amazon parrots. They're very, very energetic and loving, and they're also very excitable, and they're probably one of my favorites here because of that. Amazon parrots are prone to obesity, fat liver disease, and heart problems in captivity. In the wild, they'd have access to a natural diet, and they'd fly miles every day. We love to hand out treats to our birds, and it helps us build trusting relationships with them. But we have to be careful not to overfeed or give them too many fatty treats. Each of our birds receives a pre-measured diet of pellets, nuts, and fresh fruits and vegetables.
Hi, I'm Bradley, Sanctuary Manager here at Foster Parrots. Let's meet the cockatoos. Cockatoos are mostly native to Australia and Indonesia and can live to be up to 70 years old. There are 21 species of cockatoos, but here at the sanctuary we have mostly Moluccan cockatoos and umbrella cockatoos, along with a few Goffin's cockatoos like Watusi and our sulfur-crested cockatoo Ira. The fact that cockatoos like Dolly are often so friendly and affectionate is what draws people to them as pets, but it's also a huge challenge to accommodate. In the wild, these birds would pair up with a mate who would provide constant attention, much more than most human beings can provide them. For many parrots, the ideal environment is in a flock with other birds of their own species. So we strive wherever possible to integrate our cockatoos into community aviaries where they can interact with other cockatoos and gain some independence from us humans. Our summertime outdoor aviaries provide access to crucial sunlight and fresh air, along with lots of wide open space to encourage natural flight behavior, which are all important aspects of the cockatoo's psychological health as well as their physical health. Unfortunately, some of our birds are non-flighted, meaning they either lack the physical ability to fly or they simply never realized that they could. For this reason, it's really important that we maintain aviaries that are safe, interesting, and easy to navigate for those birds as well. Because of cockatoos' intelligence, emotional complexity, and physical needs, self-destructive behavior like feather plucking is particularly prevalent in these species. It sometimes results in permanent feather loss or progresses to self-mutilation so severe that it requires physical barriers, like vests and collars, to maintain the bird's own safety. It's a deeply ingrained behavior that, once developed, is challenging to work past. But we do our best to provide as much enrichment, attention, and medical care where needed to help these birds curb this destructive tendency. As naturally destructive animals, cockatoos require a constant supply of enrichment. We provide this in the form of toys, complex foods like nuts in hard shells, and a habitat that is itself designed to be destroyed and rebuilt on a regular basis. So it's no wonder they often don't do well in people's homes. While cockatoos are beautiful, affectionate, and engaging, they are also destructive, aggressive, and at their core, wild animals, and they absolutely do not belong in captivity.
Hi everyone, I'm Rachel. I'm the Director of Adoptions and Education here at Foster Parrots. Here's a look at our small adoption center, where our adoptable birds are able to receive plenty of human attention. We take the time to evaluate our adoptable birds' preferences in order to set them up for success in their new homes. The sanctuary setting can be difficult for birds that are accustomed to life in a home with lots of human attention and interaction. With the overwhelming amount of surrender requests we receive, it's not feasible for us to take in and provide permanent residence for every single one. The adoption program is our answer to that problem. We place birds that prefer human attention into good homes where they'll receive a healthy diet, enrichment, veterinary care, and several hours of direct attention and out-of-cage time as minimum requirements. Visit fosterparrots.com/adoption-rescue if you'd like to learn more about adoption. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to our staff share some of our passions and our work here at Foster Parrots. Now we want to share some of our bird stories with you. Every single bird that comes to us comes with a unique history, a unique story, and many of them are tragic. Even the happiest stories of birds who come here from homes where they were well loved and cared for are usually laced with heartbreak, as these birds outlive their owners or need to be rehomed for any number of reasons. First, let's meet Daisy and Rollie. This Amazon pair was loved by the humans in their previous home, but their caretaker developed COPD and emphysema, making it impossible to spend time with the birds and their dander. Rollie also needed medical attention for her feet. She isn't able to open her toes or climb normally. Rollie and Daisy had to be separated in their previous home to accommodate Rollie's special needs, but they were desperate to be together when they arrived here. We've been able to modify a cage to accommodate both birds, and Daisy takes advantage of our open door policy to visit all his other new friends.
This is Mary. Mary is a scarlet macaw. Mary's human, Jim Crandall, had never loved anything in his life more than he loved this bird. But Jim was 52, Mary was 2. Jim could do the math, and he was worried about her future. So he contacted us, and we encouraged him to include Mary in his estate planning in case anything ever happened to him. And tragically, just a few years later, he was diagnosed with terminal liver cancer. So it was important to Jim to make sure that Mary was going to be okay. He began to bring her to the sanctuary. So Mary without Jim was a sad bird. When Mary came, we watched Mary a depression. She lost some of her feathers and she was withdrawn, and it took her a little while to adjust to not having Jim. But Mary has lots of friends at Foster Parrots now, and she's a well-adjusted bird and a happy bird, though she still misses Jim.
Pumpkin Pie and Matey are a sun conure pair that came from a hoarding situation. These birds were in a home with more than 80 other parrots. They belonged to a person who believed she was rescuing these birds, and that may have been true at first, but she continued taking birds in until the situation became out of control. Foster Parrots was able to take several birds from the home, focusing on the ones who needed immediate medical intervention. Our sanctuary manager and our veterinarian worked tirelessly to save Pumpkin Pie's life.
We knew that something was up. He was underweight, lethargic, and started spending most of his time just laying at the bottom of his cage. We immediately contacted our veterinarian, Dr. Ann Burke, and began providing supportive care, keeping his environment as warm as possible and providing easy access to food and water. In addition, we started him on a general antibiotic and a calcium supplement. Considering his background and the poor diet he was receiving, a nutritional deficiency wouldn't be surprising. But after a week of this, we were seeing only minimal improvement. So we started to look at another possibility: heart disease. This is one of the most common issues we see with birds in captivity. The poor diet that's often way too high in fat, combined with a lack of exercise, nothing compared to the miles and miles of flight that their heart is designed for, predisposes these birds to cardiovascular issues. So we started Pumpkin Pie on a heart medication. It was a slow process, but gradually we did see improvement, and Pumpkin Pie is now a happy, healthy bird.
Hi, this is Big Burt and JubJub. Burt is a hyacinth macaw. He's one of 3 that we have here at the sanctuary. And Burt was surrendered to Foster Parrots when he wasn't even 3 years old. People all think that they want the biggest, bluest bird money can buy, but a hyacinth is a handful. It's a lot to take care of. When Burt yells, the walls shake. So Burt ended up here with us, and he bonded with JubJub was a blue-throated macaw. Of course, everybody's all about Burt, but the real interesting bird is JubJub because his species is highly endangered. There are a few hundred left in the wild, and several groups are working to bring these birds back. But these guys are both males, very strongly bonded, and they are a delight to interact.
In 2009, Foster Parrots was contacted about 2 Moluccan cockatoos who had been found abandoned in a breeding box in a park in the Bronx, New York. Named Lucy and Desi, when they were found, they were malnourished and understandably terrified. Likely wild-caught birds who spent a lifetime in a breeding facility. It was a slow process for them to become accustomed to their new home, but eventually they did settle in. Sadly, Desi passed away a few years later, leaving Lucy behind. But Lucy was able to find friendship in other birds, and slowly, her trust in humans started to build as well, so that she will now confidently approach people she's familiar with and take a treat from an outstretched hand. Lucy hit another roadblock about 2 years ago when she suffered a stroke, permanently impacting her balance. But with some modifications to her environment, Lucy has been able to relearn how to navigate the world, and now has welcomed a small flock of other birds who are more timid or also have mobility issues to share her frame with her. Lucy has had to face so many challenges in her life, but she's overcome them all and found a lifetime home and family.